You know that feeling, right? Stepping off a plane, hitting a new city, maybe even a new country,
Hmm.
and that energy of the unknown. That's what we're diving into today.
Ooh, I like
We're
what.
talking about getting lost, like really lost.
Okay, yeah.
And we've got an awesome guide for this little adventure. The I don't need a map guide to getting lost and loving it.
Catchy title. I like it.
So we're going to kind of dig into this idea of ditching those itineraries, ditching the Google Maps, and just embracing what
Letting
happens.
go a little. Yeah.
Exactly. And we're going to see what kind of like cool stuff can happen.
So it unfolds.
Yeah, what unfolds when we just let go of the reins a little bit.
Absolutely. I think that's where the magic happens, right? When you're not so rigidly holding on to your plans.
Totally. And
And
the book is full of these like laugh out loud stories
yeah.
about people getting lost. And it really made me think like, why is that? What is it about being lost that just lends itself to these like hilarious situations?
Well, I think it's that element of surprise, right? You have expectations, you think you know where you're going or what you're going to experience, and then suddenly, boom, everything's flipped on its head.
Totally. And there's this like clash between what you thought was going to happen and what actually happens.
Exactly. And that's where the humor comes in, that dissonance.
And often it's those moments that turn into the best stories, the ones you tell over and over again.
Absolutely. Those are the memories that stick with you, the ones that make you laugh years later.
Absolutely. And the book talks about this idea of accidental discoveries. Like, you're lost, you stumble upon something you never would have found if you had just stuck to the plan.
Oh, totally. I mean, some of the most amazing places I've discovered have been completely by chance. I mean, I'm thinking of this one time I was wandering around
Yeah, tell me about it.
Florence, right. I took a wrong turn, ended up in this tiny little piazza, and there was this incredible artisan workshop. Generations of this family making these beautiful leather goods. Never would have found it if I hadn't gotten lost.
It's like a little hidden gem just waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. And it's not just about places, it's about people too. Like the book talks about locals saving the day. When you're lost, you're forced to rely on others to ask for help.
It's true. You have to break out of that tourist bubble and really engage with the local culture.
Absolutely. And those interactions can be so enriching. I mean, I'm thinking about this one time I was completely lost in a rural village in Japan, didn't speak a word of Japanese, and this sweet older woman, she couldn't speak English either, but she like took me by the hand and walked me all the way to my destination.
That's amazing. It's like that universal language of kindness just transcends all those barriers.
Exactly. And those little moments of human connection, they're what make travel so special.
It really is. But what about, we live in this world now where we're so reliant on technology. We have Google Maps, we have GPS. Is there a downside to that? Like the book talks about maps and GPS letting us down.
Oh, totally. I mean, as much as technology can be helpful, I think sometimes it can actually disconnect us from the present moment and the joy of exploration. You're so focused on following that little blue dot on your phone that you miss out on everything else around you.
It's like you're not really experiencing the place. You're just going through the motions.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's the frustration when technology fails us,
Right.
right? The signal drops, the battery dies, and suddenly you're stranded.
And then the panic sets in.
Exactly. And I think that's when we realize how dependent we've become on these devices, how we've lost touch with those basic navigational skills.
It's funny because there is this study, and the book touches on this a little, about how navigating without GPS actually like activates different parts of the brain,
Hmm.
like those associated with spatial awareness and memory.
Oh, interesting.
It's like we're challenging ourselves to think differently, to be more present and aware of our surroundings.
Totally makes sense. It's like we're engaging our brains in a way that we don't when we're just passively following directions.
Exactly. And I think that's part of what makes getting lost so rewarding. It's like this little mental workout.
Totally. It's like you're sharpening those instincts, those problem-solving skills.
Absolutely. I'm curious, like, think back to a time when you were really, truly lost while traveling. What comes to mind? Like, what images, what sounds, what emotions do you remember?
It's funny. The first thing that pops into my head is this feeling of disorientation, like almost like a vertigo, like the world is tilting on its axis. But then there's this rush of adrenaline, this sense of, okay, game on. Like, I've got to figure this out. And then your senses are heightened, right? Like, everything is more vivid. You notice details you wouldn't have before.
You're so in the moment.
You're so present. And I think that's when the magic happens, when you're open to the unexpected, when you're embracing the unknown.
And I think that's a great place to kind of wrap up our deep dive today into the art of getting lost.
Yeah, I like it.
It's about letting go of control a little bit, embracing the adventure, and seeing where the journey takes you.
Letting go of the map and finding your own path.
Exactly. So here's my challenge